In this video, I'm going to talk about how to clean a Whirlpool washing machine inlet valve in case it's clogged. So this is a very common thing that happens where you'll be trying to wash your clothes and notice that the water filling rate is really slow. It's taking forever to fill, especially on the rinse cycle. And what can happen is the inlet valves can get clogged with sediment, especially if you're on a well. Well water can have little bits of stones and sand and silt that can clog those valves easily. So as you can see, I've removed the valve already. Before you go to this length, there is a more basic cleaning step where you can just unscrew the hoses from the back. So this is underneath the control panel, but you'll see this part, the thread sticking out behind the washing machine. So you have to get back there and remove the hoses. And if you look in there, I've actually removed the white filter screens. I don't have those anymore, unfortunately. But what you'd want to do is remove those. And I recommend using a type of pliers like this. Use a short nose pliers, not a needle nose pliers, but you'll be able to go in there and grab the white plastic piece, and then it just pulls out. It might be really difficult to pull out, but it's not a screw or anything. It's just a friction fit in there. It's a smooth bore. So you can maybe see some gouge marks there where I've had to pull it out before. So my problem was I was pulling those out to clean all the time, and despite cleaning those perfectly, I still got a poor flow rate. And it turns out there's another second strainer behind there, and that's in the very center of each one of these inlet valves. So I don't know if you can see those circular holes in the very center there, and there's the hot side. Those are what you need to clean. So in addition to the outside filters, you need to take those off, clean them, and then if that still doesn't fix the problem, then you have to go to lengths of removing this whole thing. And there are other videos on how to remove this. It's not that difficult. You just need to pop the control panel open and then basically just disconnect the wire harness, and then there's 2 screws holding this into the washer body. All right. So to get those holes clear, and this works just like a shower aerator filter. So if you ever had your shower head clog up and you had to unscrew it and there was junk in there, that's the same kind of thing. I believe that's like the flow restrictor for this, and all those holes need to be clean. So to do that, you can get in there with like a Q-tip, and I pull it out like that so you can get it in that tiny hole. You might also want to use a pin to poke in there. This pin is actually too big, so if you can find a finer pin, that would be best. Or if you want to use some kind of brush, stick it in there to knock that loose. But I use the Q-tip first, and just kind of the water caused some of the particles to stick. So I'm going to show you what I got out, and this is going to be hard to see. Hopefully the camera can focus, but there are these little teeny black rocks, and I live on a house with a well, and these come in, and I've since added all kinds of filters, so hopefully we don't get any more of that. But this is the kind of stuff that's going to clog your washing machine. I mean, you can see this is a Bounty paper towel, and those things are smaller than the little dimple pores on that, so they're very, very tiny. So they can be easy to miss. Some of them can get past the initial screens and that sort of thing. So if you are on a well, you almost definitely should have, these type of filter washers installed. But even these, the holes are too big to prevent those tiny particles. I don't know if I can put one of that next to it, but you can see that some of those particles would be able to go right through that screen. So it's best if you can have a much finer screen on your well, like 100 mesh type of screen or smaller, that would get installed down where it comes into the house. But that will help with this not clogging, so it can't flow as much water. I'll show you guys the flow test next. So I cleared this out. And just a quick overview of the wiring here, because I'm going to actually switch it on manual control and then do some flow testing. But there's a wire harness. These are 120 volt solenoids. And then this is a temperature sensor, and that's all connected to this harness. The temperature sensor is so the washing machine can measure the incoming water temperature, and then depending on the model, it can like mix how much hot and cold to get a desired. So when you say like warm, it's not actually 100% hot plus 100% cold. It's going to adjust and have like some kind of target temperature it's shooting for, and will adjust the duty cycle of the fill valves to reach that target temperature. So anyway, let me show you the flow test part. All right, this is going to be the flow test. So, and FYI, this is going to be a little bit dangerous electrically, so I'll explain how this works, but you can get electrocuted doing this, so please be careful. I'm not responsible if you get shocked or electrocuted. So, you need your hose hooked up to your hose faucet. So I'm using my laundry tub. You could use your hose valves, but just keep in mind that if you have a single lever valve and you only hook up one hose, water is going to come out of the other one. So I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but hook up your hose first and then just turn on the valve. I don't want this to go spraying everywhere, but we're wanting the hose washer. So. But flush out the hose first, because you could have sediment in the hose, and if you hook this up and you just cleaned it and then you flush it with the hose, you might just reintroduce sediment. So make sure you flush everything out before you put it back. I'm going to put that washer in, and then I'll hook it up to this next. I'll show you the electrical setup here. So since this is a 120 volt solenoid, you can just basically hook up a regular electrical plug to it. I don't think polarity is that important, but I would guess based off of the white wire on the bottom that the top would be hot and the bottom would be neutral. So if you hook that up to a cord, make sure you use insulated connectors, because you don't want to touch this with water, all that stuff. And remember, the hot is the narrow prong, and then essentially you are going to be able to plug it in. Please only use a GFCI outlet. Do not plug this into a non-GFCI just in case, so you don't get electrocuted. But I'll hook that up and show you the actual flow test. Now everything is hooked up. I have the water turned on, and I'm going to just plug my plug into the outlet, and then we'll see water starts flowing. I'm just going to hold it there kind of halfway, and then I can unplug it. And again, do not touch around there, because this is all live electricity. So we're going to take a look at the flow rate coming out. And this is the part you see in the washing machine, and that actually looks pretty good to me. If you are able to test this, you could put it in a bucket and time it, see how much water is flowing. Each valve should flow about 2 gallons per minute. So that's your target. Test this one, should be about 2 gallons per minute at roughly 50 to 60 psi. Same thing over there, 2 gallons per minute. And if you can get 2 gallons per minute from both of them, then you know everything is flowing and operating correctly. So that is the flow test. Again, I would repeat this on the hot side just for comparison, make sure that's also going. But yeah, that is how to clean and test your Whirlpool washing machine inlet valve. You unplug this, it shuts off. There you go.